Can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fuck it.
Oh, somehow I couldn't change myself as we were starting the show. Hey, thank you, Bill O'Reilly. We are in and we are ready to go. It's Thursday, September 12th. We are in the PuckSports studios. It is built by Limback Lumber. We appreciate you joining us today here on the Daily Puck Drop. Limback Lumber, proud sponsors here of the PuckSports studios. Contractors, they offer free deliveries from everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects, and have the largest stock moldings in the Northwest. Old school service. They've been doing it since 1930. Give them a call at 206-782-3487. Visit them online, limbacklumber.com. That little QR code that you see here, if you're watching it, well, you are watching it. I keep saying that. And I promise the app is coming soon. I swear. I'm just saying if you're listening back to it, if you go to the video, there's a QR code there that you can click. And it's going to take you right there to Limback Lumber. All right, we're going to have a jam-packed show because we've got breaking news, obviously, on the situation there with the Pac-12 and everything that is going on with that. We're going to have a surprise visit there from John Canzano is going to join us, and we'll get the very latest with John on the situation there with the Mountain West and the addition of the four teams moving forward. We'll do that here in about 3 minutes or so. Also coming up later today on the show, Mike Garafolo will stop on by at 10:20 for his weekly visit. And so we'll talk all things NFL with Garafolo. And then 10:45-ish or so, I would say probably a little bit later, we'll talk to Brad Adam, and we'll get Brad's thoughts on all thing Mariners, who, again, the Mariners, they're not going to die, are they? They're not going to go away. The season's still alive for the Mariners. So we'll get into all of that with those guys. So the news that came out last night, Yahoo Sports first to report it, that the Pac-12 expanding, and then it was confirmed early this morning, 6 a.m. by everyone, including our guy John Canzano, who, again, we'll talk to John here momentarily, is that they're expanding San Diego State, Boise State, Fresno State, and Colorado State. Before John comes on, I'm just going to say this because I know exactly what the narrative is going to be from a lot of people, is going to be, and I've seen it from Husky fans in particular. You just did the same thing that you accused Washington and Oregon and Arizona of doing to you. You guys are hypocrites. Well, we've always number one, every sports fan is a hypocrite. Every sports fan. Mariner fans right now, we're all hypocrites. I've said I wanted them to lose. I'm fed up with this season. Do I watch the game last night and get excited about it? Yeah, I do, because I'm a Mariners fan. Why it's different is because those schools that left had a choice. Oregon State and Washington State had no choice. There is no choice. If they didn't do something, they're dead. They're left for dead. Those schools could have stayed, rebuild the conference, and they would have been fine. Would they have been as financially as fine as maybe they are now or will be in the future? Maybe not. But those moves were made out of greed. What they did last night, Oregon State, Washington State, was made out of really necessity. They had to do it. I'm going to quickly, let's jump on. Let's get John Canzano, who joins us right now from Portland. John, how are you? It's an emergency visit with Canzano, who joins us every week there by courtesy there of Zeke's Pizza. I'm sure you were up late into the night and probably early in the morning chasing this story. Give us the latest. How did we get here with Oregon State and Washington State?
Well, look, I'm told that Oregon State and Washington State made contact with these four Mountain West Conference schools 6 to 8 weeks ago. The talks really did pick up a couple of weeks ago, and I really feel, Puck, like, in the last couple of days, last 72 hours, something shifted in the Pac-12's world where they said, hey, we need to do this now. We need to move now. We feel good about this now. This is the right time. The Pac-12 staff members were up last night, sort of going through all the stuff that they were releasing to the four schools, some talking points, the news releases that went out. It felt a lot like that, that August day a couple of summers ago, where The Pac-12 was preparing a bunch of news releases, and then, in the 11th hour, got the rug pulled out from under them. But this came together really quickly. I tend to think that part of this may be the rush to do this may have been driven by something the Mountain West Conference was planning to do. Gloria Navarez, I talked with her on Saturday in San Diego. I was there for the Oregon State-San Diego State game, and I talked with her on Saturday. She was aware that the Pac-12 schools were talking with, some of her members and making contact. And so I just kind of wonder if the Mountain West was plotting a defensive move or a strategic move that the Pac-12 said, we need to go now. They're paying a ton of money, Puck.
Yeah.
And they've got 2 empty seats. So there's a lot to talk about.
Okay. So for those who aren't caught up on it, how much money do they have to pay? Does Oregon State and Washington State have to pay to these 4 schools now to get them out of the Mountain West and to join them?
Well, the 4 schools owe the Mountain West Conference a $17 million exit fee per school. So each of those schools must pay the Mountain West $17 million. Pac-12 is going to help them with that, though, I'm told. There was some creative help that is going on. Fresno State, for example, has got a whole bunch of debt on some of their facilities. They don't have $17 million sitting around. I suspect the Pac-12 is either subsidizing that, or they may be loaning Fresno State some money against some future media rights earnings. So there's some of that going on. So $17 million per school, pretty stiff exit fee. Now the Pac-12 also is paying the Mountain West Conference $10 to $10.5 million per school as a poaching penalty that went along with their scheduling agreement that they signed for this football season. So they owe a total of $43 million to the Mountain West Conference. That is a lot of money to pay. And, just my immediate 20,000-foot view, Puck, is you don't pay all that money. You don't pay $17 million to get out of your conference unless you're running towards a no-brainer deal that's on the other side of this. And so, one reason could just be the access to the college football playoff. I think, the people who don't understand, the top 5 conference champions, the highest ranked conference champions, get automatic berths to the CFP because you've destabilized the Mountain West Conference. This Pac-12 with, presumably 8 teams by 2026, well positioned to get an automatic berth in most years. So you get access to the playoff. It's a pretty good basketball conference with San Diego State and Boise State coming in. And then beyond that, Bob Thompson, the former Fox Sports Network's president, told me, I said, who are the suitors here? He said, it's ESPN, it's TNT, it's the CW, it's Fox maybe a little bit. And he said, look, the only thing better than being at the front of the line is being the only one in line. And right now they would be the only one in line. The Mountain West, even though their deal is up, they don't have a lot to sell. And so I think there's the consulting firm we talked about earlier this week, Navigate, must be telling these schools, hey, there's money out there. Here's the number. And so now this is all happening.
Okay, so now they've got roughly 2 years, well less than that, to find 2 more teams. I want you to clarify for people because I do see confusion out there. In fact, I even texted you just early this morning to make sure that, because I was confused to a degree, and I got a thumbs up, as you can see there on the video. Yeah. We got to figure a way to get that thumbs up out. Because here's what I want. I want the thumbs up is good. I also want, if I flip you off, I want that to show up too. I think that'd be great. They get to 8. Do they get their Power 5 status back? Because I think there's been some confusion from people. In fact, I even think that Dan Wolken at USA Today even said that, no, this doesn't guarantee him anything. And I'm confused by that. I thought once they got to 8, they're back in Power 5. That gives them the automatic qualifier for the college football playoff, at least the shot at it.
Yeah, look, for people who don't understand, nothing's guaranteed to anybody in the CFP. The SEC doesn't get an automatic berth. It's just the 5 highest ranked conference champions who get automatic berths. Now, in most years, 100% of the years, the SEC champion is going to be one of those top 5. So is the Big Ten. So, the question now becomes, ACC, Big 12, Pac-12, really the Pac-12 in competition with the American over a berth and in competition with the Big 12 over a berth. But if you kind of run the data on this, in most years, your strength of schedule is going to be bolstered by playing Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State, and not playing the bottom half of that Mountain West Conference. The two Pac-12 schools that were alive yesterday now are joined with 4 others, present a compelling case to get one of those berths. That whole thing, that Power 5 distinction, is a little bit of a misnomer, right? It was almost overnight that the 4 other conferences declared themselves the Power 4. It wasn't like there was a judge who came in and ruled and said, well, now it's a Power 4 conference. So, I asked that question of the Pac-12. I said, what about Power 5 status? And they said, that's Power 5 is just, it's a branding thing, or Power 4 is a branding thing. So I expect they're going to call themselves Power 5. They're going to continue to negotiate in future media rights and CFP negotiations, saying that they're a Power 5 conference. They have some leverage now that they didn't have yesterday, and they have those 2 seats open, Puck. So keep an eye on it. Look, I'm skeptical that this conference is going to feel like it did, for 108 years. But this is a nice first bite. Remember, we talked about there would be multiple bites. 2 bites to the apple was the quote that I got. I think this is the first bite here. And that second bite, I'm very interested to see what it is and how soon it comes.
Yeah, I mean, I for one, I don't think there's anyone that thinks that, oh my God, the Pac-12 is back. I mean, the Pac-12 that we know is dead. This is just a reincarnation of something different, right? Of a Pac-12 that will just look different. I like the fact they were able to keep the brand alive. It's 108 years of history. I like that the logo can still be there. And again, it's not going to be the same, right? Because it's not Washington, it's not Oregon, it's not the LA schools and the Arizona schools and all that. But I like the fact that they were able to keep teams in their time zones and not have to travel across the country and put their athletes, and not so much football, but other athletes, at risk of traveling so much. And I get it. There's an allure to be in the Big 12, and probably the Big 12 would have been the best thing for both schools. But the fact that they couldn't work it out, and who knows what happens here in a few years, I think it's all going to change again. I just think it's the best thing
it's interesting
for both these schools moving forward.
I just got a note from Kirk Schultz, the Washington State president, just a moment before coming on here. And, he said that they draw comparisons and feel like they're a good comparison to the Big 12 and the ACC, where they're headed, meaning when they fill those final 2 seats, that they will be, a comparable conference that should earn the kind of NCAA tournament revenue and CFP revenue that those other conferences earn. I found that very interesting, and it sort of points us, along with your comment about the geography and the travel, it points us in a direction that is interesting. Could the Pac-12 be targeting Stanford and Cal? Would the Cardinal and Bears be caught dead in a conference that includes Fresno State and Boise State academically? Would they be caught dead in that conference? Or is the bigger picture vision that everybody knows this is going to, super conferences, is the bigger picture that the Pac-12's brand, regardless of who was in the conference, that the brand itself is more valuable to maybe TV companies as these super conferences get formed? Is it possible that there's a television partner that really valued having the Pac-12 in their corner? Keep an eye on that, because late last night, it was 2:00 in the morning. I was on the phone with a source who said, I was closing the door on Stanford and Cal, and they said, don't be so eager to do that. You don't know what's going to happen in the ACC, and I found that interesting.
We would need, because that's the logical next jump was that add 2 more schools would be them, right? And it would seem that Cal would be the one that you could get to come over easier, than Stanford, because and both those schools, I mean, they're like Ivy League schools, and I understand why they wouldn't academically want to be associated with those schools. I mean, hell, when they were in the conference, the Pac-12, they probably academically didn't want to be with Washington State and Oregon State. It was just the way that it was. But I wonder, as they go through here this next few months of travel, do they just say to themselves, God, is it worth it? Is it really worth it to be traveling across the country for this, just because we're in this ACC conference, right? And then you're right. What happens to the ACC if it implodes? what happens. I mean, I would think that the Big Ten would go hard after Stanford, and then maybe Cal goes along with them. But yeah, it would make logical sense, and hopefully it would happen. I would just need Stanford and Cal to stop raising their noses up to everyone and just join it, and I think it'd be good for them.
Well, what about the possibility too that ESPN opts out of that ACC deal in 2027, or maybe ESPN is involved in what's happening now? We don't know. I don't want to be Pollyanna here, but I think it was a nice step in the right direction. I think it's very easy for some out there to say, "Oh, this is just a glorified Mountain West. Oh, this is just the next." I get why people would see it that way, but I also think when you look at the football power of this conference, you think about a Boise State that is a good candidate right now to be the Group of 5 representative in the playoff. San Diego State's got a nice stadium. I think the geography makes sense. It's why, and again, I'll go back to this. It's why I keep looking at what they're doing. I was told too, these schools all make geographical sense, but I was also told that Pac-12 Enterprises was dangled to those 4 schools as a selling point, meaning, hey, you're going to get CFP distribution. Yes, there's more media money than you had in the Mountain West, and frankly, you don't have to split it a million ways with Wyoming and New Mexico and Utah State. But beyond that, that Pac-12 Enterprises is being positioned as, a potential production arm, the possibility of the Pac-12 network coming back. And then beyond that, the schools are going to have access to Pac-12 Enterprises in a way that they never before had. They're going to be able to use it as an NIL arm to generate revenue. The athletes themselves will be able to generate content using Pac-12 Enterprises. It's just really interesting that they feel like they have a little advantage in that space that could turn into something.
Yeah. The CW, I would assume CW's got their hands in this, right? We've talked about this before, right? With their in the conversations you've had with the president about getting into more live television and especially sports programming.
Yeah, I would think so. I also kind of think, I keep looking at the ACC and going, wait a minute, is this ESPN trying to set up a Pacific division and then a Atlantic division being the ACC? And, is there more money in it? So I think there's a lot of things out there that we can all speculate. And the beauty of this is it happens so fast, right? It seemed to accelerate. We were talking about, hey, there's a growing rift with the Mountain West. All of a sudden, there's a canyon between them. And so I actually think that this isn't going to take us forever to figure out. Oregon State's president, Geoffrey Murthy, told me that she felt like, early spring, they really needed to be on a path somewhere. And so it kind of tells me that, I think we've got a few months here that, we may see the next move happen sooner than later. Another source said, stay close to this. Stuff could happen here rapidly. So I think it's super exciting. I think it's interesting. I also think they're a little bit, this conference is a little bit like John Wick. It has been left behind. It has been, treated poorly, and it's punching back. We're kind of at the point of the movie where, they're starting to man up here. And so I like what they're doing.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's what they should be doing, right? It's they're doing the best for themselves. All right.
Well, what would you do? What's the alternative? You just tuck tail and you run the opposite direction. I like that they're trying to fight back. It's a good story. I think people are tuned into it. Skeptical. Sure. Look at what they're up against. They're up against a lot of TV and a lot of money, but this is a good move for the Pac-12.
I mean, they're trying to, that's the deal. They're trying to survive, right? That's a different deal than what was going on with the previous schools. All right, we'll cut you loose. More information up at johncanzano.com. Tell everybody what do you got up there right now.
Yeah, right now I have 2 pieces up there, including something I just posted about, what comes next and an analysis of what happened, some of what we talked about here, but this is going to be rapidly emerging. I love the idea that they made this news during rivalry week. Was that intentional?
Of course
are trying to get more Washington State fans into the stadium on Saturday? I don't know, Puck. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, you're the best. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks, John. There he is, John Canzano, with the very latest of what is happening in just an ever-changing world here of college football, which is just crazy. I mean, what is transpired here has been, and that happened so fast last night. You know, we had speculated last week that John had talked about how there was just some tensions that were brewing between the Pac-12 schools, the Mountain West schools, and then all of a sudden, boom, here we are. It has already changed. So good there for John to jump on here real quick. We're going to transition because now our weekly guest, as we bring him on, talking all things NFL with, are you under arrest?
Just right into it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Should I give you a heads? Next time I'll give you a heads up.
Hello.
Hey,
Good thing I wasn't indisposed.
what is happening with you? What's going on there in New York City? Huh?
What do you mean?
Well, what's the police? I don't know. The
do you
sirens
mean?
that are going off. There's like sirens left and right. What do you got going on there?
My air conditioning's broken for like a month and a half now, so I got the windows open. So you're just gonna have to.
No, I
you're
love
just
it.
gonna have to roll with the sounds of nature.
Well, you don't want. Next time I'll give you a heads up instead of just coming right to you. It's the Mike Garafolo Show. He's the best in the business. You can follow him on X at Mike Garafolo. Brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, your trusted family-owned insurance experts in Puget Sound since 1978. They've got honesty, they've got fairness, folks, and they've got golf and integrity. Jamie Hartley, contact him right now, 253-565-8700. Also, Zogs on Fox Island, perfect spot to grab a cold beer, hang out with friends, and catch the game. Enjoy the Northwest summer and into the fall. They're at Zogs on Fox Island. How are you? We got football. Week 1. It was a great week 1 of football.
Was it? It was okay.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? What are you talking about? It
I
was
don't know.
awesome.
Everybody's like, "Oh, look at all the comebacks and stuff like that." And I like there were games that I mean, maybe you know what? Probably because it was colored by. I don't usually on a Sunday. I'm not usually at a place where I have to take a plane. So maybe 1 o'clock was better. But I was in Atlanta for Falcons Steelers. Yeah. So the 4 o'clock games were the games that I got to watch because I had a later flight that night. So I'm at the airport and. There were no comebacks. I mean, I guess Seattle was a comeback, but that wasn't like a, So they were talking about, these great comebacks. I was like, well, I guess I missed them all because they all happened at 1 o'clock. Yeah. So, I'm watching. When I'm at a game, I'm watching the game there, but I'm also watching Red Zone. But you're not watching it like you take it in. So I guess 1 o'clock was great, and I just didn't experience it fully.
Okay, all right. God,
yeah.
They downplayed it. Can I just start first with Atlanta because you were there, you were covering that game. Mm-hmm. Did you happen to talk to any Steeler players and say, "Hey, what'd you think of Russell Wilson being in full uniform despite him being scratched from the game?"
He wasn't scratched though. He was the emergency third quarterback. Like I kept seeing that out there.
Oh, really?
So he was,
okay.
Yeah, so he was inactive because. The rule has gone back and forth now, but your third quarterback now is technically an inactive. If he plays, the other two can't go back in. That's the way it was for years and years and years. So he wasn't technically inactive. He was supposed to be in uniform. Yeah. So we're back to that little gray area. So I know that isn't necessarily playing into what you had hoped was going on there because I know your feelings on the situation and the guy involved. But I'll say this. He showed up.
Okay. He
gets there. He's on the first bus with Justin Fields. And he's the first player. Like, maybe not the first player, one of the first, but he's definitely the first quarterback out there, and throwing and doing his whole thing.
Just doing the whole thing.
Because he's Russ.
Yeah, because that's what he does. Well, okay. Well, that clears it up because, people out here in Seattle were just crushing him. Just crushing him. Crushing him like, look at him. He's such a dork. He's in full uniform and he's inactive. This is what he does. But now that I forgot about that rule. So he had to be. So you'll see that. If teams that have 3 quarterbacks, you'll see that all year long.
Yes, you'll see that if they're the third quarterback. I'll actually, now that you say that, I wonder, because it's never happened. If a guy is inactive and he suits up, would that technically be a violation? Would it be punishable? I don't even know what the rule. I'm going to have to ask what the rule on that would be.
Okay. All right.
I mean, maybe you can. Like, you could just wear whatever you want, but it's, I don't know. It's a great question.
We usually have great questions here. What the Atlanta situation?
Not so much since we lost Jim, but
we'd have to. Jim could come back. He's on this retirement plan, and he doesn't want to come. He doesn't want to work more than 3 days a week.
Well, make one of them Thursday at 1:20 Eastern. How about that?
Okay, we'll bring him on. Yeah, I'll tell him. He's out probably hiking and and angering his neighbors in Bend, Oregon. The Kirk Cousins debut raised any red flags?
Yeah, it did. Mostly because of the vibe, I guess. Is I keep when I left there, I was kind of like, all right, it's one loss, 17 weeks, season's getting longer. The more we keep adding games, relax. It's like it was like a morgue there, and I was like, now they got to turn around and they got to go to Philly. And I saw a stat just now. I got to find it. Hold on, it's a great stat. It was a great stat. I wouldn't go looking for it if it wasn't a great stat. Who did I text it to? This guy.
This guy.
The Jets, Colts, Panthers, and Falcons. This is, I'll give credit. This is from somebody sent it to me. It's from actionnetwork.com. Which I don't condone. Well, I shouldn't say I don't condone. I don't participate. I'm not giving you advice. It's a stat.
Okay.
The Jets, Colts, Panthers, and Falcons were held to 25 minutes of possession or less in their week 1 losses, the 4 lowest times in the NFL. The last decade, teams to hold 25 minutes of possession or less in week 1 are just 8 and 23 straight up, 26% in their week 2 game. There's also another number. You can go find it if you want. It's not great if you're into, for entertainment purposes. So just letting you know that.
Okay.
And they're on that list. So now they got to go turn around. They got to go play the Eagles, who were scoring pretty much at will against the Packers.
Okay. So I got to look at the schedule, right? Is there I can't remember when. I'll find in a second when the Seahawks play them. Is there a chance that Michael Penix starts soon?
Define soon. I mean, I don't think so.
Next 3, 4, or 5 weeks.
But so Raheem Morris has got to, because I spent time in the pregame on NFL Network, NFL Game Day Morning, talking about how since that night, since they drafted Michael Penix, Raheem Morris has been adamant to those outside the building, those inside the building, including everybody in the locker room, that this is Kirk Cousins' team. In fact, his quote to me was, "We're excited for Michael, but this is Kirk's team." So there's a credibility issue, right? If you all of a sudden get the quick hook and go to Michael Penix. Now, if we're in week 6 and it is where it is, then you're going to have that conversation. Week 2 feels a little bit early. Week 3, if there's another, you've got to assume they're going to lose to the Eagles, right? How is that team all of a sudden going to, because to me, I understand that, it's not necessarily, the average Joe, the way he looks at the game, there's more at play, but how is that team going to score enough points to keep up with the Eagles? How? I don't see it happening. So you got to assume they don't win that game. So the conversations will start, but I just feel like then week 3, really early for that to kind of happen, especially if the Saints lose and the Buccaneers lose. They're both big dogs on the road this week. So if you assume that now everybody's still tied for first place in that division.
Okay, week 7, October 20th. Atlanta Falcons host the Seattle Seahawks.
Nice.
I just think the way that it is, and I could just see it. I could see the pressure mounting, especially if they lose, and they got an exciting rookie. And by all indications, and I'll be honest with you, I saw highlights of training camp and highlights actually of the preseason games. I didn't see a full game, but he seemed to wow everyone, and he will. His arm strength is so elite, Mike. And, the pressure to have that shiny new quarterback, everyone loves the backup quarterback. So,
yeah.
And then
can you
imagine what they would do what would they do with them? Let's say they start him, and then you got Kirk Cousins and he makes all this money. What do you do? And
you invited it by drafting him, which is fine. If he winds up being your quarterback till 2035, it's not going to matter what happens in 24, right? Sure. But in the short term, you're going to have to deal with it. And that's what, Raheem told me. He's like, we knew we were going to take flack for it. And the fact that we didn't tell Kirk right away, which he said, there's so many leaks and so many social media accounts out there that we had to keep it tight, even from the guy involved. Maybe he could have gotten a call a half hour before or something like that. But they're happy with what they're seeing from Penix. The fact that they didn't play him in the preseason, I thought was very curious and remains curious. But Kirk's, to me, the offense looked, stagnant is the best word. I've seen the numbers. They didn't run that much motion. They were out of pistol, all these things. It just didn't seem like Pittsburgh was threatened by anything, which is, they should be. You've got enough weapons on the offense. You should feel threatened, and it didn't look like they felt that way.
Moving to the Seahawks, do we know what the latest here with Ken Walker is by any chance?
Yeah, he's got an oblique thing that he's dealing with, which that's the in vogue baseball injury the last couple of years. So yeah, I mean, day to day is the best I can give you right now, and they're holding out hope that he's going to be able to go.
Okay.
We shall see. Same with George Fant. He's more. I know Mike McDonald called him day to day as well. So it seems like those guys are truly questionable to this point. I would not expect. Who else? Uchenna Nwosu is on the injury report.
Yeah, they already ruled him out. Yeah.
Oh, they did rule him out. Okay.
Well, hold on. I think they did. Yes, I think they did. I'm pretty sure that they already.
Their hope with he's got an MCL, I believe, MCL injury, if I'm not mistaken. Those things, all of a sudden, you'll just kind of turn the corner at some point. So they're hopeful that that'll happen soon. But he's still kind of stuck in that. It was a significant one. So hopefully he turns the corner soon for their purposes.
What about we got Thursday night football tonight? We got Bills and Dolphins. They got running back issues all over the place, right? I mean, Mostert, I think, is already out. What do we know about A-Chain? Is he going to play tonight?
Sounds like if all goes well, he will play tonight. So he's got to show them. He's got an ankle, I believe. Mostert had the chest. He had the ankle. So they're hopeful he's going to be able to go. The door is open. He's got to show them everything in the pregame. They got the other guys they can lean on, especially Jeff Wilson Jr. They like him a lot. We've seen him perform in the past as well. So yeah, it should be an interesting game. I mean, everybody, a lot of folks were down on Buffalo with losing Stephon Diggs and not necessarily replacing him. But they like the guys they've got. Keon Coleman obviously was going to have to step up. I believe he was their leading receiver week 1. And they kept saying how much they like Mac Hollins, and he had 2 catches and a touchdown. So let's see if he can replicate that.
What did you? I mean, we talk a lot about the NFL, and it's the greatest reality show in the history of reality shows. It's unbelievable. Thursday Night Football was great with all the pomp and circumstance around it. You've got a pop superstar there. Then you had a terrific football game. It just was phenomenal. And then we get to Sunday. And I don't think I've ever seen a pregame Sunday like that in my life. I mean, you've got Dak. You guys are all over the news. Dak Prescott's got a brand new contract, and then I don't know if it's before that or after that. We get another Scotty Scheffler situation, and Tyreek Hill gets pulled over. And he's put in handcuffs, and that whole drama. It was all unbelievable. It was
all at once, and in there was I reported that Justin Fields was going to get the start, and it was kind of like, get out of the way. We got okay, fine. Yeah, we knew about that. And it was so, and our producer, Jonathan Victoria, in his first Sunday doing game day morning, it's a new role for him this year. Jeez. My man, and he's got, where is John? I got to find out where Jonathan's from. He's got a terrific accent and a nice, calm, quiet voice. Okay. And he did a great job staying grounded because that all hit at once. And with no warning, boom, and he did a great job.
Yeah, and that's crazy when it's just chaos, when everything like that is happening all at once. What do we make of the Hill situation? I mean, right when it comes out, and we do this, we all are guilty of this.
Yeah,
we immediately go and react to it without gathering all the facts and waiting for everything to come out. Everybody is guilty of it. Everyone. And then as more video comes out, the body cam comes out, I think then the opinion changed. Not to say that, hey, I think that the officers went over the line with him and it didn't need to get to that. But I also would say that those that had that opinion would also come back and say, Tyreek Hill could have handled that much better.
Yeah.
He didn't need to, because
and he said that.
But it escalated real fast with him. I mean, I will never, and you will never. I'll never be in the position of a black male being pulled over by police. I'll never know what that's like.
Yeah.
Ever. And to know what the fear factor in that is. But so I would just say, well, roll down your window and cooperate. But I understand the distrust. I do. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Never experiencing it. I'm just wondering, now he's come out and he wants the officer fired. And but he is culpable in how that transpired, is he not?
He's very much so. And I was playing golf with a New Jersey State Trooper buddy of mine yesterday, and we were going over it, and he said, you could tell when you're asked about this, you can tell people, my buddy's going to use that as a teaching tool, right? And the way that they train the cadets, every class that comes in, they get in their face and they like military bark at them. And he said part of the reason for the training is we obviously want to toughen them up and make them prepared for life on the roads and in towns around here. But it's also to teach them to be able to kind of deal with that If you're getting that reaction from someone that you're dealing with, whether you're pulling them over or you're part of a domestic violence situation or something like that, that you need to sometimes be able to eat that. You need to sometimes, and I told him, I said, but like, what if you're having a bad day? Like obviously that person's having a bad day. What if you're having it? He says, you got to eat it. You've got to eat it. And it sucks because nobody likes to be talked to that way or treated that way. But sometimes because then it escalates and then it becomes way more than it should be. And there's a limit where, sometimes you have to use, because I tell them all the time, like when you walk up to a car and you pull somebody over, you don't know who that is. You don't know what they have. Right. Now he did say, he says, now if I was in that situation, he said, it's tough to second guess, but he says, I was able to see when he rolled down the window, I saw in the car, and whether you knew who it was or not, he's like, I could tell not a threat. Right. And this is the stuff that they have to assess. He's like, but I could tell not a threat. He's like, but it's not like the guy was banging on his window. He was just tapping on his window saying, you've got to roll it down. So, everybody's a little bit culpable in this one. And I don't know the officer's history, right? Because that's gonna be a big part of it. If you find out that there's a number of these situations and then he should be terminated. I don't ever feel like, something within reason. What a person does one time should result in a termination. I always feel like you do something, you get a warning, you get a second chance, you live and you learn from it, just like everybody should, seeing on both sides of this one. So if this would be an isolated case for either one of those first officers that responded there, should they be reprimanded? Sure. Yeah. Should they have a chance to maybe continue a career in which they can provide the public some good? I also believe that as well. Yeah,
again, this is just, and again, I come up from a different perspective. I totally understand. I would just say, I'll just echo with what you said. If there's nothing in the history with these guys, I don't think anyone should lose their job over what transpired this past week. All right, so your Jets, I thought about you watching that game.
It's all right. It's all right.
Just one game, but he didn't look right.
Sure,
Aaron
he
Rodgers.
did. Sure, he did.
He looked off. He just didn't look like Aaron Rodgers.
He's 40, coming off an Achilles. Didn't play in the preseason. They should have played him in the preseason. Selfishly, I wanted them to because I wanted to cover that Jet Giant game in the preseason, and I did last year, and it was exciting, and it was good for Lord knows what impact it would have had in the regular season because we never got the chance to see it, but. I kind of wanted, so I was advocating Robert Saleh should play Aaron Rodgers in the preseason. He didn't, and I thought you saw the effects of that the other night. They've got now Tennessee on deck. They've got Minnesota coming up in London. They have got let's see here. They got like 4 winnable games in a row. Why can't I find it? Oh, Patriots at home Thursday night, and then they are. Home against the Broncos, winnable. They could be 4-1. They could be 4-1. Everybody chill.
You're still bullish. I got you.
Oh, yeah.
This is what we do, though. We overreact on week 1. I love overreacting on week 1. You should have seen the overreaction from me and others on the first half of the Seahawks game, which was it was the worst half of football I have ever seen.
The double safety was. Did they ever? Because I remember Scott Hansen said. I was listening to it in the car while I was getting gas, and he's like, another safety. We're gonna go to the record. Did they ever come up with like the record book? Like how many times has there been a safety?
Yeah.
2 of them in the first half or whatever.
Yes, but I can't remember it. But it was just it was such a craptastic first half of football. People were losing their minds, and they make a mistake with the offensive coordinator from college. Yeah. John Schneider can't get the offensive line help, but they recovered in the second half and they looked good. Their defense looked good for sure.
Can you hear that screaming?
Probably.
Is that my daughter?
It could be your daughter. Maybe she's screaming for help. Do you have?
What the hell is going on down there?
Well, kids being kids. Aren't they in school? Are they?
Yeah. Well, she only has half days. So she's 3 years old. She's good enough down there by herself, right? Everything's good.
Oh, we left our 3-year-olds alone all the time. Wander the streets.
I mean, is she in danger? My nanny's down there. I'm joking that she's down there by herself. Everybody, just chill out, okay? But what is happening down there?
I think she's okay.
I don't remember what you asked me. I will say this about week one.
Just the Seahawks played better in the second half.
Well,
their defense looked good.
They did, and they hung in there. And I do know that they were pleased with how the back-to-back safeties and how poorly they played, or not back-to-back, but the two safeties together, and how poorly they played. And yet they kept it together. They stayed calm. It was an indication of this new head coach, Mike McDonald's ability to kind of keep them locked in and focused and not panicking. So I know that they were happy about that.
How about all the Rams injuries? I can't keep up with how many injuries the Rams have. I mean, they got Puka. He's out, for 4 weeks? And then we've got, the 2 offensive linemen are done now?
Yeah, and they've had, I mean, even Jonah Jackson, who came back, had a broken scapula in the preseason. It's Sean McVay does a really good job of, like, we're banged up at one position. He'll find, if the guy's on the roster, like, he expects everybody to be ready to step in and take on a bigger role than maybe they had in mind for them. But when you got to do that now at multiple positions, that makes it really, really tough. And they've got a game against Arizona, who I thought was impressive in Buffalo. You know, they weren't able to hold on, but certainly impressive, and certainly will put points on the board. So that's an interesting game coming up.
What about I want to call them Ed McCaffrey? What about Christian McCaffrey this week? Are they going to continue to lie about the injuries, or will they tell the truth this week?
They didn't lie. Here's how I know they didn't lie. I found out, I want to say about 25 minutes before inactives were due, that he wasn't going to play. And I was like, whoa, that's not out there. Let's scoop this one.
The running back knew on Friday.
No, he didn't.
That's what he said. That's what he said, though.
Okay, so if he knew on Friday that he was starting, and you called his agent 25 minutes before inactives were due, the agent was at the game, so he spent time with him all weekend. Do you think the agent would be surprised by the news that Christian McCaffrey was not going to play? No. But I'm going through my, like, I got to confirm this story, because I'm like, he's out. He's not going to play at all. So I start calling everybody. A lot of people weren't answering. And then finally, I get the agent. Hey, are you at the game? Yeah. Is Jordan starting tonight? He's like, what do you mean? I was like, McCaffrey's not. He's like, he's not? No, I don't think he is.
Well, maybe the agent he's not doing his job and doesn't know.
Literally was there. And he was like, really? And so anyway, as he's going through, I'm like, well, you're of no help. I got to go. Boom. And hung up the phone on, because I got to go make the next call to find out somebody who does know. And he wasn't lying to me. I've known him forever. So he didn't know. And then after the game, I was like, I sent him a text. I was like, basically like, how about that? And he's like, wow. So, yeah.
Well, why did Mason get so mad with reporters afterwards?
I don't know. Because I think that I'm piecing this together, that the team, because what happens is the team knows it's out there. Yeah. The media relations people then go to him and say, you're going to the podium. You're going to be asked about this. You said on Friday, and I don't know what the conversation was, but it's not like they said, don't forget to lie. I mean, they probably said to him, like, Kyle was asked about it and said that he never told you were starting, probably told you need to play a little bit more. So be ready for that. And maybe your position coach tried to psych you up and whatever, because that's what Kyle Shanahan's explanation. And they tell people that they tell players that all the time, like, hey, be ready to go. Don't know about, and so maybe in his mind, when he was asked the question, well, yeah, back to Friday night, I started to get mentally prepared, so.
Yeah. What's the hey, I came across the story this morning, and I just thought that I just don't feel this is going to end well for Dave Canales. He's already meeting with the owner, and maybe you're going to say, hey, it's routine. They do this all the time. I see the headline where he's met with them, and then he's been given assurances of support. And I'm like, well, that doesn't feel good if I'm Dave Canales already. And that guy's a crazy owner.
He's very involved, that's for sure. And he's shown a quick hook multiple times now. I think that in this case, from what I gather, some players were looking for a little bit of fire and brimstone, and that's not Dave Canales' approach. His thing was, continue positive, love him up. The Pete, he worked with Pete Carroll, and he's kind of like that. So he's not going to come down hard on them. He's not going to panic. He's going to try to keep their spirits up and get them with some confidence going in. But remember, they're on that list of teams with 25 minutes or less time of possession, or whatever the stat was. Yeah. So that doesn't bode well for week 2.
Yeah. It's he just does it. They looked awful. I mean, they look.
You're so used to you know, that was one of the games I was watching. I was like, you're so used to teams at some point in the NFL because the competitive balance is there and everybody's a pro at the top level of their profession. You're used to them getting off the mat and they never got off the mat. So that was disappointing.
That's the thing
is she being tortured?
We're back to the daughter.
I got to close this door. Hold on. I can't even deal right now. Hold on.
I love the
Vivian. Viv, relax.
Well, maybe the nanny. What's the nanny's name?
Well, that didn't do much.
Well, what are you doing? What is the nanny hitting her?
Yeah, I know. She's the opposite of that. Trust me, we don't need a nanny cam with her. In fact, sometimes I wish she would just do what I just did and yell a little bit.
Storylines. We two games you're looking forward to. Where are you? And then actually, where are you going to be? Boots on the ground.
Monday, Eagles, Falcons. To see if Atlanta can provide a more inspired effort than they did the other day. Which again is going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Okay.
So I'll be there Monday night. And then Sunday I'll be right here. Be here from home probably.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week. Next time when we do it live, I'll give you a heads up. Hey, we're going to you live now, rather than just say, "Hey, Mike, you're here." Take care of the kid. Make sure that she's not just getting into something terrible.
A lot of times they tell you, when I assume she's on the floor because that's where they throw their fits. So a lot of times they tell you to get down there with the kid, a little eye level, and So I'll try that tactic, and then I'll probably.
We got insiders today, or what do we got?
We got.
Oh, that's right. This is the schedule. It's all over the place.
Thursday is no insiders. We're on game day kickoff. Ian Rappaport and I, so we'll be on there tonight on NFL Network. And we've got our Thursday. I think we're on YouTube. Or no, we're Fast TV show. So free ad supported television, or as I like to call it, as someone who grew up in the 80s and 90s, television.
Mike Garafolo every week, brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance.
Everything's free, and they make their money off the ads.
It's weird. How does that work? Also, Hartley and Hartley Insurance brings you Mike Garafolo every week. Also, Zogs on Fox Island. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram for their new summer and now fall hours that are coming up. You can watch the replay of this on YouTube. Also, listen back, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, and of course at PuckSports.com. All right, Mike. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
See you, bye.
There he is, Mike Garafolo, NFL Network, with the very latest of the news and notes there in the National Football League. We'll get Brad Adam on here in just a quick second. We'll talk a little Mariners baseball here in just a few minutes. I'm going to tell him right now, why don't you just get on in? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if in, what did I say, week 7, that Michael Penix is going to be starting for the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, I don't think anybody would be surprised. I don't think anybody should be surprised at all if he's going to be the starter in week 7. I mean, they looked terrible. He looked awful, did Kirk Cousins. I mean, he's just terrible. They didn't look good at all. He didn't look healthy. And I just think the fans are going to start. They want to see Michael Penix play. They want to see that guy. They're mesmerized in practices and videos and everything about how he throws the football. And I'm just eventually they're just going to clamor for him to be the guy. And Kirk Cousins is just going to lose out. He just will. He absolutely will, and he'll fall out of fan favor, and I'm just being curious to see what Atlanta can do. Let's talk a little baseball right now, get you an update here on the Mariners as we continue here on the Daily Puck Drop. And joining us, it's not the first time he's gone live because we've done live shows plenty of times. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Brad Adam from Root Sports with us right now. Brad, can you hear me okay?
What did I hear?
Oh, it's the old Brad Adam can't hear me trick again. Brad, we went through this.
There you are.
Okay.
There you are.
You scared
It's a
the
simple-
life out of me because
No,
we went
it's
through this last week with you where you couldn't hear me.
It's a simple connection, my friend.
Okay.
I've got it set. I'm
Okay.
excited. How are you, buddy?
I am doing
Woo!
great. God, you look great. Hey,
You
guess
know-
what? We've got we got a brand new feature for you.
What?
A little brand new feature. Okay. There'll be a voiceover for this, but for our video viewers, as you know, Brad is brought to you by John Howie Steak every single week, right? We know that.
Good friend of ours. Yeah.
Great. Look at this. You got yourself a commercial. They look like they're having a great time.
Yes.
There it is. We'll have for the people listening back on the podcast, like,
Dude.
what the hell just happened? But listen, for
That
the
was
video
cool.
viewers, that was great.
Now, why weren't we in that video?
That
That would be a classic, wouldn't it? Me, you, and John with that little swing music. Which reminds me, I took swing lessons back years and years ago when I was in Portland.
who didn't?
Right?
Why important?
I was working there, and
Well,
that
I know
was
that you were working there, but-
it was like God, who was it? It was Stray Cats and Big Bad Voodoo Daddy.
Oh, sure.
It was
the
like
other-
huge, and the Gap,
popular
was having their big commercials and everything was swinging. I'm like, let's learn some swing dancing.
Remember Foursquare?
Oh yeah,
Right? Was it called Foursquare? Right?
What is-
No,
what
no,
about
no.
the-
That
the
was the
game?
game. No,
The
that's
game
the
was awesome.
What was
I-
what was the other one you did? Line dancing? Not
Oh,
line
I
dancing.
never did that.
No, the partner dance. It was kind of
the-
like do-si-do and what the hell? Why am I blanking on
I
what
don't
the
know.
hell that was called?
But that was good times, man. That was fun. We had our own ad.
It's your own ad.
I appreciate that. And hey, you know what else we got to talk about? I know you've been
Your
talking about
ad.
my ad and my Aztecs. I know you've been talking
Oh,
about
that's
it.
right. I forgot that you're
Come
a
on.
San Diego State Aztec.
Dude, we'll go to games, Wazoo at San Diego State. We'll go walk the campus. I'll show you, where I went to class.
Can't wait.
We'll get you some tacos.
Can't
I know
wait.
spots to go. Oh, it's going to be fantastic.
Brad Adams.
I'm so excited.
I know you are. Brad Adams,
Yes.
every single week with us is brought to you by John Howie Steak. Entertain your next clients, family, and friends at John Howie Steak. Have the best dining experience in the city and a little swing dance, too.
Yeah.
It's visit johnhowiesteak.com. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we're playing you in October. You know that? Yeah,
Yes.
We're playing you I
Yes.
think October 26th.
So
I think.
that starts 26. Is that right?
26.
Okay.
2026.
And they'll keep adding some teams. I feel bad for the Mountain West, but
They got to add two more. They got to add two
more?
more teams.
who are the
Yeah.
front runners? Did John tell you? Anybody know?
Well, I think the obvious front runners are Cal and Stanford.
Oh, get them
They'll
out of
try
the
to
ACC.
Bring them back, but the
Yeah.
ACC's got to implode. But if they pivot,
They're on their way, right?
Yeah,
The
most
lawsuits on the way.
likely on their way with everything that's going on. And Florida State and Clemson want to get out, so that would be a possibility. I mean, if that doesn't, if that falls through, I would probably UNLV and somebody else get the Vegas market.
Smart. Yeah.
I mean,
Good
it's
for
not
us.
perfect, but it's
Better than two.
It's better than the Pac-2, and I can't wait. Listen, I've seen that stadium. Have you been to the new stadium?
I have not.
It's unbelievable.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's nice, and then the best anyone that's going to go down
Snapdragon?
Snapdragon, yeah,
Cool
which is a
name.
great name. But it's on campus, so it's there or close to campus.
Close, yeah.
But all of the great local beer that San Diego produces,
Right?
it's all in the stadium.
Oh,
Just all of it.
that is fantastic.
It's just great. Yeah.
Oh, they did it right. I'm glad.
Yeah, they did it right. They got out
Yeah,
of
they
they got
did.
out of Jack Murphy. Old school Jack. What was it
Old
after
school.
Jack Murphy? They call it after that.
Qualcomm?
Qualcomm, you're right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
definitely Jack Murphy. Yeah, that's good times, man. Oh, we're gonna have fun.
Yeah, we are. We're gonna have a big rivalry now. The Aztecs and I think the Cougs will start to become. What do we call that? We need to play for something.
The Vetter Cup.
Well, yeah, that's Tim Booth. Tim Booth has stole that over the years when it's the M's and
fantastic.
Padres, the Vetter Cup. Yeah, I guess we could steal
Maybe.
that.
So let me ask you, keeping with the
Sure.
Wazoo theme, though, are you excited about the Apple Cup? Or is it totally lost its meaning to you?
Hasn't totally lost the meaning to me. It's changed, and it's not. I'm not as excited as I used to be.
Right.
But I am excited.
Okay.
But not like in years past, just because you have a whole season to build up to it.
Right.
And then it's the last game, and then something in the last 10 years. A lot of times, something's been on the line. So,
now, are you going Saturday?
Yeah, yes, but my son's got a football game that gets over at 1 as the Inner Bay Eagles will find themselves right now as probably a 6.5 point dog to Eastside Catholic, the Crusaders.
Yeah, they recruit at that age. Yep, I understand.
You said it, I didn't.
I did, yeah. And are you coaching? Are you helping out?
Yeah, I'm a quality. Yes. I would say I'm more the
quality control.
I'm the guy that keeps everyone back. Get back! And then have to make sure they're all getting their necessary plays. Like they've got to play like everyone's got to get like 10 snaps.
Oh,
so I got to be in charge of making sure Johnny and little Daryl get their time into the game, and then yell at my son. I don't really yell at him. I just
how's he doing?
I browbeat him. He's doing great. He's doing awesome. Had a great interception last week. Diving interception was sweet.
Nice.
And so that game's over at 1, and then we are going to make our way over. I'm going to pick up Mary Lou from gym practice because she wants to go to the game. It's right there in Bellevue.
Okay.
And we'll head over there and probably catch the second half. So we'll scalp a ticket as I pull up.
Well, yeah, ticket sales aren't great, I hear, right?
Terrible.
It's
going to get better. They'll get a good walk up. How was I was surprised, just let's switch to baseball. I was surprised how many Padre fans were there.
I was too. I know when we go down there, a lot of Mariner fans go down to San Diego, which makes sense. But if you're in San Diego summer, coming up here, I don't know why. But it seemed like 50-50 almost, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot of Padres.
A lot of people. What? Yeah.
They didn't have much to cheer about last night, though.
No, they did not.
Every one of them started going, woo!
He was.
Woo!
I'm running around and running some errands and kind of half paying attention. I knew that he had a no-hitter, but it wasn't until I think I was picking. What was I doing? I was, picking up my daughter from practice, and then I'm like, and then Goldsmith didn't quite say it, but he just the way he said, 15, 16 up and 16 down, and I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah. Then it was 18, and I think he got 1 in the 7th.
Did he go 19?
19.
Yeah. Before Tatis just murdered a ball.
Dude, that guy. Oh my gosh. Do you see him rob the home run for Rosarena too?
Yep.
And the play he made in the first game. I mean, he is a freak. If he had
it's great.
Maybe a little more common sense or whatever.
Well, I like what Angie said in the first game. He played because of his shortstop experience.
That throw was unbelievable.
Because
that
he played it like a shortstop.
Like a shortstop, right. That he was deep in the hole and just underhand flip, but he was good. And Padres this is a team that, highest batting average in the majors, most hits in the majors, and fewest strikeouts in the majors. Exact opposite of the Mariners offense. And they, just a little side note, and they couldn't touch Woo. I saw the broadcasters for the Padres before the game, and I said, well, wait till you see this guy. You guys have never seen him before. They will not be able to hit him. He throws 75% fastballs, and they will not be able to hit him. And they're like, okay, well, sure enough. I tell you, 1 point, Krueger was there next to me. I believe it was 49. Think of this, Puck. 49 of his first 56 pitches were fastballs. Now, they're 2 fastballs, 2 and a 4-seam. But fastballs, 49 out of 56. Like, here it is. Yeah. You know it's coming. And they're going to be strikes because they don't walk anybody. And they couldn't touch him.
Krueger talked about it. I'm watching Krueger just kind of shake his head last night on the post-game show with you. And he's just like, I don't know what the comp is with him. How does he get away with that fastball and just throwing it as much as he does and being so damn effective with it?
Well, the 2-seam gets a lot of run. And it's hard for people to square that one up, which it kind of makes sense, right? Because it moves. But the 4-seam, because again, we've been told and explained that his release point is a full foot lower than the average or anybody else. It's 4.11, so it's coming low. It's kind of because he was a shortstop, right? So he's kind of like that kind of 3/4 slot.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the way and it's just free and easy, and it's low. So the fastball tends to rise up or ride higher than most fastballs, and it doesn't gravitate and affect it as much, I guess. So you see a lot of pop-ups. Like he had only, I think, 4 ground outs and a lot of pop-up, a lot of fly balls because guys just can't get on top of it. Tatis did on that one, but I think that was a 2-seamer. So it's just it's something where it's hard to square up because it stays up higher than other fastballs, and when you haven't faced them, it's just a different look. You've never seen it, and it's just super hard. But even the teams that have, I mean, he doesn't get hit. And Krueger and I were talking, and he thought, remember Bartolo Colon at the end? No, you're not when he was throwing 100 winning Cy Youngs, but at his end of the Mets, and I'm sure he's still pitching now in the Mexican League somewhere, right? I mean, you see videos every once in a while he's pitching. But he just threw, all he did was throw 2-seam fastballs. It was over like 90%. That's all he threw. But he could just dot it, right? That's kind of the only comp that Bill could think of because, I mean, who else would just throw fastballs, and not get hit? It's awesome. I mean, it's.
And he didn't remind me again on the story with him. Remind me again
shoes?
on Brian. No. I'll get to the shoes in a second. But remind me with Bryan Woo, he didn't start pitching until he got to Cal Poly. Is that correct? Or no, not Cal Poly.
No, Cal Poly. You're right.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he was Cal Poly. And then
he didn't pitch in high school, right?
Well, I think he did, but it was also playing shortstop. He was a position player as well.
Yeah.
Got to college, and I think became pitcher only. Had Tommy John after, I want to say right at the beginning of the junior year. So his draft went way down. But Trent Blank, the Mariners, what is his title? It's a fun title. Director of Pitching Strategy.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Saw him and said, he would take him 1-1, first round number 1 overall pick. He was so enamored with Woo, and they were just thrilled to get him in, what was it, like the 6th or 7th round?
Yeah.
And look at him now. I mean, you could argue that he's their best, most efficient starter, has been lately.
Well,
he is just
since I referenced this. I went back and looked at this last night. One, because I wanted to give credit to Adam Jude, and which takes credit away from Ryan Divish.
Ooh, now are we for that?
Well, I am personally
taking credit away from Divish. Okay,
correct.
Good.
I mean, I think his ego needs to come down.
So we'll pump up Jude. What did he do?
And Jude is better looking.
He's got better hair.
He's got better hair.
He's better looking.
Well, remember when he talked to Cal and Woo? He did that story, right?
Right.
Back in August, just about how, where Cal gave him kind of a tongue lashing.
Yeah, a little roommate sit down.
Yeah, and just said, "Hey, man, you need to get it going.
Right.
Like, get out of the training room and be on the mound. And every 5th day you take the ball.
Right.
And you need to start doing that." And since that story that Adam Jude did on it, detailing that, and this is why Jude gets all the credit. He has, so I think it's 7 starts now. He is a 2.42 ERA. He has a batting average against of 184, 45 strikeouts and 4 walks.
Yeah. How about that?
Stupid.
And not just, take the ball every 5 days, but do what you have to do to get your body ready to take the ball every 5 days. And so I think he's learning what to do on those 4 days between starts. And you're right, it's been night and day with him, because you go back to, he's been on the IL, a couple of times this year, the hammy and the elbow, and you're wondering the forearm, you're like, gosh, this guy's a little fragile, right? It's like, geez, if you're going to trade a guy, would maybe Woo be the guy you trade because maybe you don't think he can post 30 starts? But now it's like, boy, I wouldn't trade this guy for Ohtani, but that'd be about maybe Judge.
I would trade all of them for Ohtani.
I know,
just every single one of them. Yeah.
And if you do believe, like a lot of people do, that they're going to have to trade a starter, this offseason,
well, don't they have to? I just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, how else are you going to get a guy, right? Hitters too, multiple, right?
You're not going to pay for it. They're not going to have the way that they have invested in the past. I don't see him doing it in the offseason because we've talked about this before. Look at all the money that they've got coming up. You know, and it's a broken record. It's you're going to double up Gilbert. Kirby's going to get a payday. Cal Raleigh's going to get a payday. I mean, Cal Raleigh's going to get paid like a lot in arbitration. A Rosarina. That's another bump.
Right.
If he's back, he could be another trade candidate. Julio jumps up. I mean, it's just on and on and on. So, and then the two Mitches.
Yep.
The two Mitches are owed $29 million.
That's tough. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. We'll talk offseason maybe later, but you don't think they'll go? You don't think that they're going to be in on the Juan Soto sweepstakes?
I'm getting word in my ear. No.
Oh,
I'm being told by sources
so they're not going to spend. Okay. So maybe not. Yeah.
And what's he going to get? 650 million, 600 million?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, Ohtani was 700. He's probably close to 600.
Yeah. No, I think they're out on Soto, but even though we would all love to have one Soto.
But you're right. And it's going to have to be with trades. And the only thing they've got to trade, unless they go, the prospect route, and teams would want prospects, but they're not going to trade major league ready bats for prospects. So it's going to have to be a pitcher, because you're right. They're not going to need to get AA or AAA bats. They're going to have to get at least 2 quality major league proven bats.
Yeah. And then you think about it, right, Brad? Like Gilbert makes the most sense because we're talking about Gilbert or Kirby, or
because they're making the most now,
because they're not making anything, right? Like
True.
Castillo, you could say, because you and we've chatted about Castillo, you could get out of the $72 million. I do wonder, Divish, when I asked him the same question, he was like, well, I still think that they could receive a good prospect depending on who they trade him to.
Right. I agree.
So, I think if you want to move one of them, and I mean, I want to be on the record, I don't want to move any of them.
I know.
If you're going to move Castillo, I think the first team you call up are the Dodgers. And you say, what do you, and that was what I think Divish brought up the Dodgers. So I'm just going to parrot what he said. Talent-rich organization, certainly can afford the $72 million, which is a bargain for a pitcher, right, in the grand scheme of things.
Sure.
And they just desperately need starting pitching. They do.
Yep.
I mean, they run their young guys into the ground.
I know. Yankees, same boat.
Yeah, Yankees. Yeah.
Another team we talked about, the Orioles, who just player rich. Oh my gosh, they've got bats forever, and they need a starter. So I mean, there's definitely going to be a market for these guys. It'd just be interesting to see what happens the off season and who they decide to bring back, because there's so many holes to fill. Do you try to go big and fill them all, or stopgap some of them? It's going to be a fascinating offseason, and we can just keep going on about that, but
you have hope.
We'll do that later.
3, what is it now?
Oh, hope, yes. 3.5.
3.5 games back. They've got 10 games before they play Houston.
Yep.
The little Oompa Loompa got hurt last night.
He did. The guy's telling me on his right side, swinging, kind of right back, and it sounds like kind of an oblique. But they didn't seem to be concerned last night, but we'll see what it looks like today. They have an early game today. They're about to first pitch coming up soon. But I doubt he'll play today. They've got, the Mariners got 7 against the Rangers. The Astros have 7 against the Angels. So that doesn't help. But I mean, they lost 2 straight to the A's. They're by far, they have the fewest wins of any division leader in all of baseball. I mean, this was an opportunity. This was the year.
Right.
It could still happen, but man, I mean, with Texas being down, and it's just it's frustrating. But I think that now their path. I used to think maybe the wild card could be their path, but now with so many teams and no tiebreakers, I think this
is the easiest path now.
Now it's the West, and concentrate on that. Yeah, if you want to keep it to 3 or 4, when you go there to Houston and you get the sweep, hopefully, and then you just all bets are off. But
am I a bad fan? You can answer this truthfully, that I want them to lose every game.
Which ones? The Mariners?
Yeah.
Yes. Why would you want that? That's
because I'm just so annoyed with the season.
I know. It's frustrating. I mean, they should be 10 games up.
I'm just so annoyed with everything that transpired this year.
Even the guys with the Padres, their broadcasters were like, man, look at their pitching. It's like, you guys, if you guys were even 20th in hitting in offense, you would have a 10-game lead. It's like, yep, we know that. We know.
Valdez gets the ball today. They're about to start here, and Valdez will get the ball today.
And he's been unbelievably good. His last like 6-8 starts, unbelievably good. So we'll see. And I know you're excited about tonight. Who do we get to see face? Who do we get to see pitch for the first time ever?
Kumar.
You wanted. I remember you wanting him years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody did.
Everybody did.
Everybody
Who didn't want the guy? And
because you knew his elbow was bad. But
well,
so what?
Yes. And remember that I was reading up a little bit about that where the Mets took him, right?
Yep.
And
never signed him.
And they never signed him. He goes back. Well, then that's when he started the problems, right? And then he went into like the independent league or something, and he went that route.
Right. And then blew out.
And then he blew out his elbow. He had Tommy John, and then the Rangers ended up, getting him, or the Rangers got him before that. But here he is. And since he's been back, maybe not the stiffest competition, but he's been blowing everyone away. And he makes his debut here tonight. They go with Rocker tonight, or they go with Rocker here on Thursday.
Yep.
Friday, I think it's DeGrom, and Saturday is Scherzer.
Right.
I believe.
How about that? So DeGrom making a season debut.
Yeah.
And you got Scherzer, and then I'm not sure who they have on Sunday, but
I don't think they have announced yet.
No.
Who's
but
that?
Those guys are getting up in age, but I mean, DeGrom was, you could argue he was the best pitcher in baseball for years. I mean, his numbers are just ridiculous.
He just couldn't.
So if he comes back, I mean, Texas will be loaded again next year. I mean, they're going to spend money. So, this was the year.
Yeah, it was. What's the deal with Seager?
It's a hip injury on an IL, and they think he's out for the year.
Yeah.
Why come back for a little bit? They're under 500, no chance.
Yeah, there's no reason to push it.
No, they've all regressed, and you knew that the offense couldn't be as good as it was last year because everybody had career years, and they figured out how to piece together the bullpen for that run. But
so what are we asking? What are we asking them to do here in the next? So, but before they play them, got to be within a game.
Oh, I don't think you have to be within a game. I think you obviously have to be within 3. Where you could say, "Hey, we can sweep these guys and we're even." Because the Mariners, if they just have one win in that series, they'll have the tiebreaker over Houston.
Okay, that's right. I forgot about that.
So even if you lose 2 of 3, you got the tiebreaker, and then you try to obviously, catch up to them. They've got 7 with the Angels. I know they finished 3 with Cleveland. Now I was excited about that, but Cleveland's playing pretty well, and if they've clinched and have nothing to play for those last 3 games, that kind of worries me. The Mariners end up their season here against Oakland, which again, no joke, Oakland, but
playing great.
It's just
unbelievable.
Look at the roster,
and
you're like, who are these guys?
And if that owner would just spend money,
oh my gosh,
they would be so good.
Yep, they do a lot of things right, but yeah. So you hope that over the last 10 games, 7 with the Rangers and then 3 with the Yankees, that again, you're right there. And that series in Houston could be a lot of fun. I'm hoping.
Yeah. The Bryan Woo's cleats, great. The whole paying homage to Ric Flair. Did he know anything about Ric Flair? He had no clue about Ric Flair, did he? Yeah.
No. They're like, hey, we're going to do this and the pitching ninja and this and that. He's like, okay, I guess. He's saying last night how he's worn the same cleats for like 2 years, very superstitious. So it's exact same cleat. Yeah. They just, put the Woo and the Ric Flair on there. He's never going back. No, he said that last night. He's like, and I'm wearing these the next start.
Yeah, he has to, right?
He said a little out of his comfort zone,
right?
The shoes, but he's definitely going to wear them again. So, yeah.
What do you think? I think it was you that told me last week. Correct me if I'm wrong. When we were talking about Dan Wilson, Edgar Martinez. Do you think this is a role that Edgar will want beyond this year, or no?
That's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
Yeah. Maybe he'll do what he's done kind of last season and this season, where he comes to a lot of home games and works with the guys, doesn't travel. I just can't imagine that he would want to do the grind of a whole season again. But
Okay.
you know, those guys have, you know, baseball in their blood. It's what they know. I mean, maybe his kids are out of the house, I do think. So a chance. I know Dan would love it.
But not something that he'd
I don't
want to,
know.
not something he'd want to be sign up for, the grind, 6 months, you're away from your family and all that.
It would be hard at his age, I think. But, you know, maybe he'll do it for a year. Maybe Dan will say, hey, you know, let's continue this for a year and see what happens, see how you like it, or start that way and then see, maybe go month to month. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, I know the guys love him.
Do you think he's made a huge impact?
Yeah.
Do you
Huge.
think
I
he's
mean,
made a big impact, maybe?
I think so. I mean, the numbers are better. I know they're still, overall, they're still very bad, but in his sample size, I mean, the runs are up, the average is up. I believe strikeouts are down, but I might be pretty close. But I think just simplifying things and eliminating voices and eliminating a lot of, I want to say noise or something, just making things simple, you know? And I think that he is doing more of an individual type job with the hitters as opposed to a group job.
Right.
You know, when you talk about,
he simplified it.
He says, hey, come up with a plan. And I talked to him yesterday about that. And he's like, you know, if you faced a guy before, you know, how did he pitch you? What are you going to look for? That's how we get you out last time. Do this. So have a plan, know what's happening, you know what's going to happen, what the pitcher's going to do to you. And then just, you know, think up the middle, think good swings, just think that, you know, don't think, as Edgar likes to say, you know, launch angle, exit velo. I don't care about any
I
of that
love
stuff.
how he
right?
shit on all that. Right. I was great.
I don't know if the team did, but yeah,
whatever.
I know what you mean.
I like that he did. I got our good friend Alex Mayer to help me out with something because I'm an idiot. I just said, can you look at something for me, make sure I'm right?
Just do it. I mean, Alex will fact check you. I mean, he's the best.
That's what I asked. Okay, so since they've taken over the team, since Wilson and Edgar,
so that is 18 games, right? They're 10-8.
Exactly. So 244 batting average, 347 on base, 402 slugging, and the OPS is 749, averaging 5.1 runs a game.
Okay, so that's way better.
Under service, 216, 301, 365, 666, and then they were averaging 3.9 runs. So
so an uptick in 18 games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think, you know, as players, JP and the other guys have said, you know, making things just simple. Yeah. Go up, see ball, hit ball type of thing.
Well, it's your former legendary baseball and basketball player at San Diego State. The great Tony Gwynn.
What did he say?
Well, you've seen the video. Have you not seen the video?
I'm just setting you up.
I know that every Little League coach, including myself, has parroted for years. And Tony Gwynn is the video, as we've talked about this many times before, had 2 rules: be balanced and take the knob of the bat to the ball. Knob to the ball. That's it.
That's it. Yep.
And you know, I think sometimes in, you know, baseball, golf, you just get so much information and video, and I just think it paralyzes these guys a lot.
I agree. Frees them up. Just think of one thing as opposed to 7. You know, like a swing thought for you in golf.
Yeah, this is none. This
do you
is
have
why
one?
I try to get up to the ball
and just
one waggle,
blank out. Okay.
Yeah, because if I get up there and start I'll puke on myself.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
It's amazing how, you know, you think don't do this and you'll do it, right? Like I can't go right here.
Especially if there's water in play and I see it, I just go.
Don't go right.
Grab my club. I just grab it as fast as I can, and I try to just get up and hit the ball right now. Just go hit it now, because I'll sit up there and I'll go, well, there's water on the right.
Yeah, got to aim a little left.
Shit, there's water on the right again.
God, I got to make sure I get through, because if I leave the club face open, I'm going to hit in the right. I'm going to hit right in the water.
And it's
Don't hit it. Don't hit. No.
No, I hit in the water, and then I'll chunk it. And God, I hate that sport.
My best is when you take a club like that, you know, a layup, or take like a hybrid off the tee. Hey, I don't want to hit that water. I'm going to be short of that, right?
Into the water.
And then in the water, or like a chunk or left or like way to be safe, right?
Yeah.
You're in the
And
trees
we're all-
anyway. It's
and
like,
we're
dang
all-
it.
And we're all guilty of this. God, what are we out? Hey, fellas, what are we out there? About 250? Yeah, they're on the green still.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait.
Yeah,
I
if I really catch one,
if I catch one, I don't want to hit into them. Hey, Puck, you good? I've never seen you hit it that far. Yeah, but I was feeling pretty good on the range. Yeah, let's wait a little
I'm
bit.
gonna wait a little bit.
Okay, they're off now. You can hit.
right.
All right,
Yeah.
and you get up there and frickin'
Little topper.
worm burner.
Yeah.
Fucking every time.
Yeah.
Every single
That's
time.
right. You free up the mind. I do. I like that. I'm going to go quicker. I like that.
Quick. I play with have several times. He sponsors Mike Garafolo's name, Andrew Herzog. Shout out to Herzog. He owns Zogs on Fox Island. If you're ever down there in
I've heard of that.
Fox Island, he is a terrific golfer, by the way.
Okay.
But he is the fastest golfer I've ever seen in my life.
Really? Gets up and goes.
Ever seen. The ball's there. He grabs his club, puts his drink down, hits it, grabs the drink and back in the cart or whatever he's doing. I've never seen anything like it.
What about putting? Same thing, putting?
Doesn't look at the putt, gets up on the green, sees the ball, hits the ball. He doesn't line up anything. He doesn't bend down.
Right.
None of it. And he's
good. He scores well.
Probably a 2, 3, 4.
Oh, jeez.
I mean,
really?
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Wow.
And it's annoying. Especially when it's beer after beer after beer, and you're like, how are you not blacked out right now?
Affecting you? Yeah, it affects me.
The only thing against him, he's a Duck, so that's it.
Ooh,
he's got that against him.
Well, I think the Ducks are going to have a tough year this year.
I
mean,
agree.
we'll see, but it doesn't look great.
No. All right, Brad Adam. Every single Thursdays now, as the baseball season continues, and of course, it's winding down here a little bit. You can follow him on X at Real Brad Adam. Once he's done here, he most likely be hosting a live chat to get your reactions of San Diego State joining the Pac-12. It's all brought to you by John Howie Steak. Entertain your next clients, family, and friends at John Howie Steak. Have the best dining experience in the city. Visit johnhowiesteak.com.
Hey, you should play my ad again.
You want me to play it one more time? Sure, I'll play it. Hold on. Where's it at? You want it one more time?
I want to picture you and I in this ad.
Okay,
having fun. Come on.
That's me.
That's you with the steak. Yep.
She's hot.
That's me ordering one. Yeah, there it was.
If you're on the video, that QR code, if you just scan that QR code, that's going to take you right to John Howie Steak and book your
free
next
steak
reservation today. Free steak. If you get that QR code, free steak at John Howie.
Say Puckett sent you.
Puck and Brad said, if I come here and just say I watched you on YouTube, it's a free steak.
Free
get your next reservation. JohnHowieSteak.com. Catch this later. Recap on YouTube. You want to listen to it, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, and of course at PuckSports.com. Brad, we'll talk to you next week, sir. I appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thank you, my friend.
You're the best. We'll see you. There he is, Brad Adam, Root Sports. Again, all brought to you by John Howie Steak. The Mariners back at it later today as they will gear up to take on the Texas Rangers and Kumar Rocker. What a great name is Kumar Rocker, is it not? It's like one of the best names in the history of names is Kumar Rocker. All right, let's get to it. Let's wrap it up. We actually may be finished by 11:30. It's amazing. I don't think we've ever I don't think since we've been doing this, we've actually finished at 11:30. But that's always been the goal. And again, a reminder, a couple of things here. Everything gets podcasted later. So in case you're just jumping in here right now and you're like, well, I want to listen to it. It all gets up there at 1:00. And so we podcast on Apple and Spotify the entire show now. I just call it the Daily Puck Drops to the entire show. So it's an hour and 30 minutes. That entire show goes up. I separate all the interviews. So you'll have Garafolo and you will have Brad Adam and then John Canzano today because we did an emergency. Well, actually, you know what? I'll just keep John in the daily puck drop. But for our weekly guests, those all will be separated. So you can go back and just watch. Hey, I just want to watch Garafolo today, or just listen to Garafolo. That will be separated for you and has been. And same thing with Brad Adams. Same thing with all of our guests. Now, if you want to go back and watch the entire show, if you go to YouTube and you'll see the tabs as home, like videos and then live, you just click on the live tab and that will be the recap of the show. We're trying to figure out a way to put it on the videos, but it would too much time for me. I would have to take the live video from YouTube once it's done, uploading and complete, and then upload it again. And this an unnecessary step. I just know, like on the website, if you go there on the website, some people said, hey, the show's not up there on the video. That's because there's something with the link. You can't link the archived live show up there. I don't know why. But again, if you want to watch the full show once it's over, just go to YouTube under the live tab. The live show is there. Does that make sense? I feel I've confused myself and everybody else. This was a newsy day here on a Thursday with the breaking news with the Pac-12 and the Mountain West schools. Big thanks to John Canzano for jumping on real quick to give us the very latest. Go to johncanzano.com. He's got a write-up there right now. He and John Wilner all over the story. Ross Dellinger, he was the first one with the report late last night from Yahoo Sports. And again, is it a perfect situation for Washington State and Oregon State? Well, of course not. The perfect situation would have been to maintain the original, Pac-12. Best case scenario number 2 probably would have been to find a way into the Big 12, but more security there, a better quality of opponents. But I think with what the situation had faced them and the uncertainty here in the next year or two, this is the best. This is the best for them. Let's see what they can do with the TV deal and how attractive that would be to an ESPN or to any of these other networks out there that need programming late at night. Because as we have seen, programming late at night works. It just does. I mean, the Texas Tech Wazoo game that was on Fox got a great number, like 1.2 million. That's a good number, real good number for 11 o'clock at night. Now, I mean, you probably will, under whatever new TV deal they do, we'll probably have more night games, probably grow accustomed to it, but that's going to be the deal. But I like it from this standpoint. Big 12 might have offered and still might offer more security, more money and all that. I like the fact that they have found themselves in a situation where they have kept it in the time zones, mostly West Coast schools. I know mountain schools as well, but it's close. The travel's not far. You've played these teams before. There's a familiarity with it. I like it from a basketball standpoint. Not going to lie there. That's a great basketball conference. I mean, with those teams, they're real good. And I think it's a good situation for them. I mean, Boise State damn near beat Oregon. And Boise State's been a good football team for a long time, like a really long time. And in Colorado State, I mean, God, they almost beat Colorado last year. So, God, there's not much difference between Colorado State and Colorado in terms of their play on the field. And we'll see what they do here before 2026. This gets them the odd. If they get to 8, they're back in again. They're one of the highest ranked Power 5 teams. They get an automatic bid. There's some confusion on that, and I don't know why, but that's the case. So they're back in play once they get to 8, and we'll see who those 2 more teams are going to be. As John said, keep an eye on the Bay Area schools in Cal and Stanford. Don't shut the door on those 2 and see. And a lot can change here in the next year or 2. All right, let's get to it. We wrap up every show with Hey, What the Puck. It's brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Restoration One is your company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. Give them a call at 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Big thanks to Trent and everybody for giving you the sponsoring Hey, What the Puck. All right, usually sports, non-sports, we usually cover here on Hey, What the Puck. Both are kind of sports stories. One's a sports story, but then kind of non-sports story. First, let's start with DK Metcalf. I went back and watched it, read his press conference yesterday. And again, DK Metcalf didn't have a great first week of first week of the season. I enjoyed, and I'm not saying he's taken a next step. He did have a holding penalty, didn't have a personal foul penalty. I enjoyed hearing him talk about his stance on social media. He's been off social media for a very, very long time, I guess. And I think back until last year. And he was a guy that was very active on it. And he just said, I wanted to challenge myself. Could I be off it for a week? And then he was. Then a week turned into 2, and 2 turned into a month, and a month turned into several months. And we've talked a lot about this before, I think, with athletes and anybody that's in kind of the public eye, like really, really in the public eye, big figures like these guys. Get off of it. Because it can just, it can be brutal, especially for an athlete, to listen to the crap that is talked about you. And then it's human nature. It's human nature. We all do it. I'm guilty of it. What are people saying about you? And I think he got caught up in that. Rob Staton, who's on with me on Tuesdays, we talked about Geno Smith. I think Geno gets caught up in it. Get off of it. It doesn't matter what people say about you. You just have to move on. It's, for me and others, in this line of work, it's part of it. You need it to promote and advertise. We're doing the show that's on Twitter/X, but you have to, especially for an athlete, they don't need it. They don't need it all. They don't need the headache that comes along with it at times. And I think the vitriol that does. I just was kind of proud what I heard from DK there on Wednesday at his press conference, just saying that, hey man, it's not everything. I needed to block it out. He didn't say I need to be more focused on the field, but I think that's kind of what he was getting at, and just not feeding into the negativity that comes with that. So I think it was a good first step, and it was good to hear him kind of acknowledge that on Wednesday. And we'll see what type of game he has, this week against New England. Last time, they played New England, had a really good game, and he'll break out. He'll break out for sure. And Ryan Grubb in this offense will put him in some great positions to make plays downfield. He's not going to have the game that he had there in week 1. Our second story, we usually just do one, but our second story on Hey, What the Puck, because our good friend Tim Booth was the first one to send me this. Actually, he was the second person. Tim Booth was the second person. The first one was my good buddy. We used to work together years ago. Shout out to Max Hellman sending me this as well. I've talked about her a lot. Charlie Hall is my queen. And if people don't know who Charlie Hall is, PGA golfer, look at her. Oh, let's look at her. She went over to a fan and is lighting up a heater as she's playing a round of golf. You want to talk about a queen? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the queen we need. Charlie Hall. God, I love her. Don't you? It's okay, dude. Just over there. Hey, can I get a light for the from a stick? For just the dagger, the bottom lip dagger I'm throwing down? Charlie Hall, marry me. I'm not available. And you would look at me and go, you're not my type. I understand that. But we could be each other's type. You never know. That's Hey, What the Puck. It's brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle, your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services, locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Again, big thanks to Emergency Show there with John Canzano. Also, our weekly visit with Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, despite his daughter screaming bloody murder in the background, because I think the nanny was doing something to her. I don't know what was going on. She was losing her mind. Also, Brad Adam of Root Sports, which is, of course, brought to you by John Howie Steak. And we appreciate that, and the new commercial that they provided us. That was wonderful. Also, big thanks to our sponsors for Mike Garafolo. Zogs on Fox Island. Check out Zogs on Fox Island on Facebook and Instagram, and their new fall hours that are starting. And also Hartley and Hartley Insurance. Contact our good buddy Jamie Hartley. You need insurance, okay? Especially down in that South Sound. 253-565-8700. The Puck the Huskies podcast with Elise Woodward And Jordan Reffett is up and available, as I've mentioned before. That Huskies podcast, the Cougars podcast, the Old Crimson with Jim and Paul. Also, our Cougs Corner, which we have Jake Dickert, his assistant coaches and players on each week. Those all won't be live. Those all will be just podcast only. And so up on YouTube, up on Apple and Spotify, wherever you take in your podcast. So those always will be released just on the podcast only feature. The Coug stuff comes out on Wednesday at 9. The Husky one with Elise and Jordan out this morning at 9 a.m. Go give it a listen. We have fun. The three of us get along very well. We like to yell at each other, and we did do a little bit of yelling. We talked about the keys to the game. We talked about Mateer's legs. We talked about Jonah Coleman scares the life out of me. The offensive line issues with Washington. Can Wazoo take advantage of it? And we just talked about the apathy of the game on both sides. So it's a great listen. Jordan and Elise do an incredible job talking about the Huskies. So go check that out. All right, that's it for us here on a Thursday. Coming up tomorrow on the show, Jim is back. Yeah, he'll be back with us here on the Daily Puck Drop. Also, we'll talk to Chris Egan of King 5. He's back for his weekly visit. And our handicapper is back as well. Troy Wins from TroyWins.com. And we will talk about something special tomorrow. We have got a huge announcement with Troy Wins. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's other NFL games that are going on in terms of weekly prizes and grand prize packages. Not going to top this one. This one's a beauty. We're doing it again with Troy Wins from TroyWins.com. We will let you know tomorrow, because we didn't want to do tonight's game. We'll let you know tomorrow how you can get involved and how you can win just a great prize package that Troy Wins is going to provide you, the listener of Puck Sports, this football season. So we'll talk about that coming up tomorrow. All right, that's it for us. Again, everything will be up on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and PuckSports.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, we promise to be better.
No shirt, no shoes, no dice.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!